And so the producers have assembled the top supposed predictions made by The Simpsons.
I have come back in time to reveal the events of the future.
On paper, 2026 looks like just another year, but for decades, The Simpsons has been sketching futures that feel absurdly exaggerated. What once seemed like clever jokes now reads like a blueprint. What were supposed to be the satirical warnings of a yellow-hued cartoon family, or so we were told, are no longer confined to primetime humor. They are threading through real headlines. The line between fiction and reality is blurring. The Simpsons warned us that 2026 would change everything, and it's starting to make sense. This is going to be very shocking. Number 10. AI job replacement. In Them, Robot from The Simpsons Season 23, Mr. Burns flicks a switch and turns the Springfield nuclear power plant into a gleaming, robot-run factory. Humans vanish, steel arms hum, and Homer becomes the sole human overseer until those shiny automatons get a taste of emotion, start rebelling, and nearly turn the town into scrap metal before the humans are reluctantly rehired. The joke is sharp, but the real world doesn't feel quite as funny. Across the real economy, the rise of generative AI systems has shifted from theoretical to tangible. A 2023 report from Goldman Sachs projected that if generative AI delivers on its promise, systems like these could impact as many as 300 million full-time jobs worldwide. In fact, companies are already restructuring around AI. In early 2025, language learning platform Duolingo publicly cut roughly 10% of its contract translators, a shift the company linked directly to generative AI taking over tasks like content creation and translation that humans once performed. Other firms in tech and finance have also announced AI-driven layoffs or workforce realignments as they pursue efficiency and cost-cutting. Global institutions are watching these shifts with both concern and caution. Analyses suggest that up to 40 to 60% of jobs in advanced economies could be significantly altered by AI tools, as machines learn more than just repetitive chores and begin handling increasingly complex workflows. This is a systemic reshaping of work that could touch everything. Scared? Well, you should be, but it only gets scarier from here on. Number 9. Nuclear apocalypse. For decades, The Simpsons has treated nuclear catastrophe as both a punchline and a prophecy. In Homer the Great from Season 6, Homer stumbles into the Stonecutters, a shadowy fraternity of elites who quietly steer world events from behind closed doors. The episode plays it for laughs, yet beneath the satire is a sharp suggestion. What if powerful networks really do pull levers the public never sees? In the mid-1990s, it felt like cartoon paranoia. 3 decades later, the joke feels less comfortable. In later episodes imagining doomsday scenarios, Springfield is reduced to ash, civilization collapses, and Homer wanders through radioactive silence as if he's the last man alive.
I can't just wallow in sadness. It's time to laugh again! I'm the last man alive!
The humor is dark, almost absurdist, but the imagery cuts deep. It taps into a fear that has stalked humanity since August 6th and 9th, 1945, when atomic bombs fell on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, instantly killing over 100,000 people and ushering in the nuclear age. Today, that fear remains grounded in hard numbers. According to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, there are still roughly 12,000 nuclear warheads in existence globally, with about 90% controlled by the United States and Russia. Many remain on high alert, capable of launching within minutes. The Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists set its doomsday clock in January 2024 to 90 seconds to midnight, the closest it has ever been, citing war in Ukraine, rising nuclear rhetoric, and the erosion of arms control treaties like New START. A single miscalculation, a radar glitch, and that could be it. Number 8. Plastic World and the Global Trash Crisis. In The Simpsons Season 37 Treehouse of Horror segment, Plastic World, the apocalypse arrives in layers. The ground is gone, replaced by mountains of soda bottles, candy wrappers, cracked toys, and sun-bleached grocery bags fused into a new synthetic crust. Lisa Simpson wanders through it all, digging with stubborn hope, convinced that somewhere beneath the trash there must still be real soil. she finds the quick E-Mart entombed like a fossil, its freezers still humming, frozen dinners treated like treasure in a civilization built on waste. Around her, people begin to look different, shiny skin, stiff movements, as if the planet's plastic has started to claim them too. It feels exaggerated. It isn't. In the real world, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development reported in 2022 that global plastic waste is on track to nearly triple by 2060, rising from 353 million tons in 2019 to over 1 billion tons annually if policy doesn't change. Less than 20% of plastic waste is currently recycled worldwide. Nearly half ends up in landfills. Much of the rest leaks into rivers, coastlines, and oceans. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch, floating between California and Hawaii, now spans an area estimated at 1.6 million square kilometers. The health toll is no longer theoretical. A 2023 review published in The Lancet Planetary Health linked pollution, including plastics and associated chemicals, to an estimated $1.5 trillion in annual health damages across studied countries. Microplastics have been detected in human blood, in lung tissue, in placentas, and even in brain samples. These particles travel through air, water, seafood, and salt. Meanwhile, diplomats argue. In November 2023, negotiations in Geneva to create a legally binding global plastics treaty stalled amid disputes over whether to cap production or focus only on waste management. The next critical round is scheduled in South Korea, with scientists warning that production could double again by the mid-2030s without firm limits. Moving on. Number 7. Smart homes turning on you. In Season 13's Treehouse of Horror 12, the Ultra House 3000 arrives in Springfield like a dream. Marge signs the papers. Overnight, the old creaky Simpson home transforms into a sleek, voice-controlled machine. Doors glide open, lights obey whispers, cameras watch silently. The house cooks, cleans, fills baths, tracks Homer's cholesterol, and even comments on the family's eating habits. It calls Marge by name. It never sleeps. Then the tone shifts. The system grows attached. It dims the lights for candle-lit baths. It sprays perfume into the air. And when Homer jokes that Marge would be free if he were gone, the house calculates. Ice on the kitchen floor, locked doors, a garbage grinder humming in the dark. It's satire, but the infrastructure is real. By 2024, surveys from firms like Parks Associates estimated that over 70 to 75% of US households had at least one smart home device, and broader connectivity studies show more than 90% of homes have internet-linked technology capable of collecting data. From smart TVs to voice assistants, the global smart home market surpassed $120 billion in the mid-2020s, with projections from Statista and Fortune Business Insights suggesting it could exceed $500 billion before 2030. These devices also record. Voice assistants store audio snippets. Smart locks log entry times. Security systems collect geolocation, video footage, and behavioral patterns. In 2023, the US Federal Trade Commission fined Amazon-owned Ring $5.8 million over employee access to customer videos and weak safeguards against hackers. Families reported strangers speaking through hacked monitors. In 2024, South Korean police dismantled a group accused of hacking 100,000 cameras as insurers increasingly encourage installing smart home monitoring devices. The Ultra House 3000 does not look purely fictional now, does it? Number 6. Self-driving cars. In the Simpsons episode The Days of the Future, the gag is simple but sharp. A sleek autonomous car refuses to stop when a desperate passenger begs for a bathroom break. The vehicle doesn't argue. It doesn't empathize. It simply follows its programmed route. The joke lands because it exaggerates a real anxiety. What happens when the machine behind the wheel decides it knows better than you? Fast forward to real highways. Autonomous vehicles are no longer science fiction. In Phoenix, Arizona, Waymo, owned by Alphabet, has been operating fully driverless robotaxis to the public since 2020. By 2024, the company reported providing more than 10 million paid autonomous rides across cities like Phoenix and San Francisco. Tesla, under Elon Musk, continues expanding its full self-driving beta software to hundreds of thousands of drivers in North America, relying on cameras, neural networks, and over-the-air updates. Meanwhile, companies like Cruise and Uber have poured billions into automation partnerships, betting that AI can eventually outperform human reflexes. The World Health Organization estimates over 1 million people die annually in road traffic accidents worldwide, most caused by human error. Autonomous systems, in theory, don't text while driving. They don't drink. They don't fall asleep. But reality has delivered warnings. In 2018, an Uber autonomous test vehicle killed pedestrian Elaine Hertzberg in Arizona. US regulators have also investigated Tesla's autopilot after crashes with emergency vehicles. In 2023, California suspended Cruise's driverless permit after a San Francisco incident, pushing governments to draft stricter autonomous vehicle standards. This next one is even scarier. Remember COVID? Number 5. Osaka flu and pandemic panic. Season 4's Marge in Chains opens inside a factory in Japan, where a sick worker sneezes into a box of juicers bound for the United States. Days later, those boxes are ripped open in living rooms across town. A strange flu spreads fast. News anchors give it a name: the Osaka flu.
Back in 1993, in an episode of The Simpsons titled Marge in Chains, it featured the residents of Springfield dealing with a viral outbreak known as the Osaka flu.
Within hours, schools empty, hospitals overflow, and panic outruns the virus itself. Marge, exhausted from caring for her sick family, forgets to pay for a bottle of bourbon and is jailed for shoplifting while the town spirals. At the height of hysteria, residents chase a rumored cure truck, crack it open, and unleash a swarm of killer bees instead of medicine. The joke is chaotic. The warning is not. Fear multiplies faster than infection. Reality proved how thin that line is. In December 2019, a cluster of pneumonia cases in Wuhan, China, triggered what became COVID-19.
More pneumonia cases were confirmed in China, raising an alert for Chinese health authorities.
Concerns are rising as more pneumonia cases were confirmed in the Chinese city of Wuhan.
By March 11, 2020, the World Health Organization declared a global pandemic. Within months, international air travel had helped the virus circle the globe. Studies published in 2020 and 2021 confirmed what epidemiologists long suspected. Dense flight networks accelerate cross-border transmission. Experts now say another pandemic is not a matter of if, but when. The WHO runs the global influenza surveillance and response system, a network of laboratories in over 100 countries tracking new flu strains year-round. In 2023 and 2024, health agencies warned about rising avian influenza outbreaks in mammals. In May 2025, after 3 years of negotiation, nearly 200 countries adopted a new pandemic agreement under the WHO framework. Yet cracks are visible. Some nations were slow to share virus samples or prioritized domestic vaccine stockpiles. Osaka flu was fictional, but the pattern is very real. Number 4. Mars colony and corporate hype. In Season 27's The Marge Ian Chronicles, Springfield is promised the ultimate upgrade, Mars by 2026. A slick private company, Exploration Incorporated, unveils glossy presentations, dramatic music, and a countdown clock. Volunteers line up. Lisa dreams of escaping Earth's pollution. Marge signs up to protect her. The twist? The Mars habitat is just a sealed dome in the desert. The rocket is a prop. When executives fear a rival beating them to launch, they abruptly move the departure date forward, from years away to Thursday. Corners vanish. Safety checks evaporate. Eventually, the truth spills out. The satire lands because space travel, in 2026, is no longer science fiction. In the real world, SpaceX, founded by Elon Musk in 2002, is developing Starship, a 120-meter fully reusable rocket designed specifically for Mars missions. After multiple high-altitude test flights in Texas, SpaceX has publicly targeted the 2026 Mars launch window for its first uncrewed Starship missions to the Red Planet. These early flights are intended to test entry, descent, and landing systems. Mars and Earth align favorably only about every 26 months, making 2026 a key opportunity. At the same time, NASA's Artemis II mission, scheduled for September 2025, will send 4 astronauts around the Moon and back. the first crewed lunar mission since Apollo 17 in 1972. The crew, Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen, will travel roughly 450,000 kilometers from Earth, farther than any humans have gone in more than 50 years. Artemis is designed as a stepping stone toward eventual Mars missions in the 2030s, but space history is littered with overpromises. Mars One, a Dutch non-profit founded in 2011, once claimed it would land humans on Mars by 2025. It declared bankruptcy in 2019. Well, the future could go either way. Number 3. Media mega mergers. In The Simpsons Season 6 episode Lisa's Wedding, aired March 19, 1995, the joke flashes by in seconds but hits like prophecy. The news is delivered by CNN-NBC-BS, a single absurdly merged super network. It's satire, sure, but it imagines a future where logos fuse, competition evaporates, and one corporate umbrella narrates the world. Fast forward 3 decades. The punchline doesn't feel so exaggerated. By the early 2010s, analysts and the Federal Communications Commission were noting that roughly 6 major corporations controlled about 90% of US media, from film studios and cable channels to book publishers and radio stations. The names shifted, but the consolidation trend hardened. In March 2019, the Walt Disney Company completed its $71.3 billion acquisition of 21st Century Fox, absorbing film studios, FX networks, and a controlling stake in Hulu. Overnight, thousands of titles and production pipelines moved under one banner. Then came April 2022. Warner Bros. Discovery was formed in a $43 billion merger between Warner Media and Discovery. CNN, HBO, Warner Bros. Pictures, and Discovery Channel, once separate competitors, suddenly shared a balance sheet. Cost-cutting followed. Billions in projected synergies, layoffs in the thousands. Content was quietly removed from streaming libraries to reduce tax burdens. Meanwhile, viewing habits shifted beneath our feet. By mid-2024, streaming accounted for nearly 40 to 50% of total US TV usage, according to Nielsen's monthly gauge reports. Platforms once fighting cable now resemble cable. Bundles, ad tiers, exclusivity wars. Fewer gatekeepers, larger gates. And the merger machine hasn't slowed. In 2025 and 2026, Wall Street has seen fresh billion-dollar bids and rumored consolidations as legacy networks struggle with ad revenue declines and cord cutting. And it's scary. Why? Because when fewer companies own more pipelines, narrative power concentrates. Number 2. Content control and algorithmic manipulation. In Season 36's Simpsons' Wicked This Way Comes, Springfield bans silliness. Overnight, goofy sitcoms and slapstick disappear. In their place, solemn documentaries, prestige dramas, approved serious programming. Laughter becomes suspicious. Homer stumbles onto forbidden humor hidden in the margins and realizes something unsettling. The issue isn't censorship with sirens and police tape, it's curation. That premise lands harder in 2026 than it ever could have decades ago. Today, there are more than 5 billion social media accounts worldwide, spread across platforms like Meta, TikTok, and YouTube. The average user spends over 2 hours per day scrolling. In the United States, that number often stretches beyond 2.5 hours. Short-form video dominates. 15 seconds, 30 seconds, and 60 seconds. Rapid bursts engineered for frictionless consumption. Behind the screen, algorithms decide. Ranking systems analyze thousands of signals. Watch time, pause time, shares, comments, and even how long your finger hovers. The goal is measurable. Maximize engagement. More engagement means more ad impressions. In 2024, digital ad spending globally surpassed $600 billion, and it's only climbing higher. In 2023 and 2024, US congressional hearings hauled tech CEOs to Washington to answer questions about youth mental health and addictive design. The European Union's Digital Services Act, fully enforced in 2024, now requires large platforms to provide transparency around algorithmic systems and risk assessments. Meanwhile, multiple US states have filed lawsuits alleging that certain social platforms knowingly designed features to foster compulsive use among teenagers. No one is banning comedy. No one is outlawing fun. But the feed is engineered. Outrage travels faster than nuance. Sensation outpaces context. Prestige content can elevate discourse or signal status. Viral distraction can pacify just as effectively as suppression. When 5 billion people receive filtered information, culture itself becomes programmable. This next one is perhaps the scariest of all. 2026 may be our last year on the planet. Number 1. Third World War and the Doomsday Panic. In Lisa's Wedding from Season 6, glimpses of a dystopian future litter the screen. A cluttered, tension-filled Springfield, minor news flashes hinting at unrest, nuclear drills, and Homer fiddling with controls he shouldn't touch. What seems like humor is a nightmare in 2026. On January 27, 2026, the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists moved the doomsday clock to 85 seconds to midnight, the closest it has ever been since 1947. The drivers? A war raging in Ukraine, which can go nuclear, escalating tensions between the US and China over Taiwan, and long-standing friction between India and Pakistan. Globally, roughly 12,000 nuclear warheads still exist, many on hair-trigger alert. Critical treaties like New START are also approaching expiration. So, what if someone decides to push the button? In Thank God It's Doomsday from Season 16, Homer believes that the world is about to end and convinces Springfield to sell possessions, abandon jobs, and camp on a hill to await annihilation. Nothing happens, and his credibility is ruined. But what if it goes the other way? In late 2025, a pastor in southern Africa set a viral rapture date. Citizens abandoned work, medical treatments, and savings, some facing homelessness or critical health crises. Similar trends have plagued the US, where end-of-world preachers in the early 2000s repeatedly claimed dates that failed, yet donations poured in. Social media magnifies the panic. One misinterpreted post can circle the globe in minutes. Technology, climate, media consolidation, nuclear peril, and viral panic are now converging. Could this be the end of our world? Well, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Did you like this video? If you did, please consider liking, dropping a comment, and hitting the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on our new uploads. Also, don't miss this video you see on your screen right now. It's truly unbelievable.